You can be as much anti-capitalism as you want, but this ethical anti-capitalism always personifies it with, that corrupted, that corrupted. They obfuscate that the question is the question of the system. Even Obama, to whom I still have at least a certain minimal respect, deeply disappointed me here. How did Obama react to BP oil spill? I'm not paid by British Petroleum. I also think they are disgusting. All I'm saying is that you see, we have a great natural catastrophe with unpredictable consequences. Instead of approaching it in a radical way, mobilizing all the people, maybe even the army, at least the US Army in this way would have been doing something more meaningful than killing the Afghans. No? What is he doing? He changed it into a typical, legal, private, immoral culprit problem. As it, I will kick the BP in the ass and I will make them pay, which is totally ridiculous. You can see here how we cannot do with ecology the amount of crises which are definitely ahead of us. They absolutely need something that I cannot call a communist approach. That is to say, a large mobilization outside the market and outside this legal state form. So, again, the problem for me is the following one of communism. I hope we also here we all agree. This basic insight of Marx that the problem of freedom, the true side of the problem of freedom is not the political system. All this measurement done by Western agencies who, in a patronizing way, measure first world countries. Do you have free elections? Do you have independent judges and so on? The true measure of freedom is what goes on in what superficially appears as an apolitical set of civil society relations, production, exploitation, even family, and so on and so on. There, in this, not directly, of course they are in reality political, their freedom is decided, which is why I think that this cheap anti-capitalism, oh, how corrupted they are, BP, this company, that, still implicitly, yes, remains within the scope of this legal approach. We need to expand political democracy to cover it up and so on and so on. It cannot be done. Okay, I will now really sum it up because I would like maybe to engage in a debate with you, John, with your legendary statement, which I hope maybe I misunderstood about, let's do our job properly at this local level, and somehow, now I'm not sure I got you correctly. The way you are radically interpreted is, it's like this, what Hegel would have called subterranean work of slow work, so that you don't have to confront the power directly, you just do this local work. We don't need to take power, but well, to be very brutal and really to sum it up. My problem is one that I read your work. No, the KGB did it. I have it in black on the clothes. And all the examples that this is an empirical claim. Please, I would like to be refuted. This is not a rhetorical stupidity. All examples that you enumerate, I claim, still presuppose not only a relatively strong, but even a relatively efficient state, I claim. Yes, I claim. Show me that, you can have all these local communists doing their work, always in the background, the state remains. Second point, what to do then when, to put it in very naive terms, how literally am I to take, yes, stop, okay, yeah, I'm stopping, it's a dialectical process. How literally do you take this non-power? Like, now I'm consciously, to provoke you as an aggressive among comrades, we are. What would you say to Morales? No, step down, rather do your work down. And my idea is not Chavez. My idea is Morales here. We can get power, why not? We can, in collaboration with all those local movements that you like so much, we can do the work. And it's okay, I could go on for 1 hour, but just to conclude, another point which I think we share. People, when we dream about society to come, people usually tell us, oh, this is utopia, this is impossible. Just to conclude, Rima, I see your evil eye, Through my ideological eyes, I see the red leather and you are weeping. Okay, sorry. sorry, you know that it's typical when people tell us impossible. Did you notice how, in what a strange way, the signifier impossible functions in our ideological space? On the one hand, the official ideology is telling us everything is becoming almost possible. You know, in the field of private pleasure, science, and so on. We will be able to change our character. We will be able, not to mention what horrible things in sexuality doing. We will be able to travel to the moon. Everything is possible there. But the moment you approach social relations, there are more and more things which are impossible, you know. As if the message of the ruling ideology will be able to travel to the moon, to Venus, will be able to become immortals, of course, why not? But will it be possible to change a little bit the healthcare legislation? No, no way. So, you know, if what is possible, what is impossible, is maybe the crucial ideological opposition today. And our message should be, of course, not in an irrational sense, but in the sense of what appears as impossible within a certain ideological social space. It's, yes, you are right, it is impossible, but look at us and learn. We will do the impossible.
It's lovely, and it's a little bit frightening. It's a bit frightening to see so many people and to see the big queue beforehand, all those people waiting. You think, my goodness, what are you all doing here? My goodness, why do you all want to talk about the idea of communism? And can it be perhaps that we are all here because we are all communists? And of course that's only the beginning, because the question is, what do we mean by that? And I loved Alex's museum, the idea of a museum of capitalism. That's really lovely. The only problem is, where is it? And I think he says, well, it's in communism, of course. But where is this communism? And I think my fear is that communism becomes a kind of land of Oz, you know, somewhere over the rainbow. And it's not like that. It can't be like that. It seems to be that no, that communism is very much here and now, and we have to start from that. If we want communism, if we are communists, then we must start from the idea that communism is already here and now. And I suppose partly why I say that is because I've just come from a very striking example of that. It was about 10 days ago. I had the pleasure of giving a talk in Navarino Park in Athens. And Navarino Park is very interesting because it's a garden created, a community garden created in the middle of the city. And it's just around the corner from where the police shot Alexis Grigoropoulos, the 15-year-old, in December 2008. And with all the huge riots that followed that shooting, one of the things that happened was that people occupied a car park just around the corner from where it happened, near the center of Athens. And they tore down the walls of the car park and they transformed it into a garden. And it's a beautiful garden, and it's used by all the people in the neighborhood, and it's used by children, and they hold meetings there. It's fantastic. And the first time I went, I felt, wow, this is communism. This is revolution. And I still feel that strongly. I still feel very much that that is where communism is. That is what communism means. Why? I think firstly, because the garden grew out of a no, grew out of a yeah, basta, yeah, we can't go on. We can't go on living in this capitalist world. We can't go on creating and recreating capitalism because it is destroying us, and it is destroying us very quickly. We have to break the logic. We have to break the logic of capitalism, and we have to do it now, not in some far-off day in the future. And that was the starting point of the garden. It was just a refusal that enough, no, we can't go on. But that refusal, that rage, became transformed into a process of creation. In other words, it's not just a negation, it's a negation and creation. Not just an against, it's an against and beyond. The transformation of rage into a change here and now in the city of Athens. And this change seems to be crucial in two respects. Firstly, by being a garden, it announces that what we need is not just a change in our own social relations, but also a change in our relation with other forms of life, with non-human forms of life. In other words, a garden has the special feature of saying that any anti-capitalism, any communism must be based on the different relation with the plants and animals that surround us. And secondly, it's crucial in this garden that the whole process creates a different set of social relations. It's a process of creating a no-go area, if you like, creating a crack in the logic of capitalist social cohesion. The people involved in the park put up, they don't in fact, but symbolically you can imagine them putting up signs around the garden saying, capital, keep out. Here we are going to create something different. Here we are creating something according to a different logic. Here we are not going to measure land according to the price per square meter. Here we are going to appreciate land by the pleasure it gives to us and our children. So these non-capitalist, it seems to me that they are non-capitalist social relations, non-capitalist in the sense that they break with the logic of capital, that they consciously create relations that are asymmetrical in relation to capitalism, relations of horizontality, relations of cooperation, relations of friendship, of love, if you like, relations that do not fit in to the logic of capital. So you've got the creation then in this area of a communal structure, something that develops and takes up and develops the whole communal tradition of anti-capitalism, the whole way in which the movement has always tried to develop, to organize itself, to find forms of taking decisions that are horizontal, that involve everybody in the struggle of capitalism. So you could think of the garden as a space of communism. That communism then exists. It is not in the far-off future because we don't know if there's going to be a far-off future. Communism exists, and it exists in the interstices of capitalism. That's where it exists. And it exists in the interstices of capital as an interstitial growth in, against, and beyond capital. And it is always difficult, and it is always contradictory, and of course there are problems, and of course there are conflicts, and of course the people who run the garden have the problem of how do they keep out the police, how do